So, this represents the final space on the shelves that I have for my larger ships. And I have been waiting for a very long time for the reimagined Battlestar Galactica to come back into stock. And it didn't. And it hasn't. So, this version of the Battlestar came out, which is effectively the same as the one in the series that I've watched. I haven't actually seen all of Blood and Chrome. I know of it. I know that it happens slightly before the Armistice, I think. But basically, this is at a time when the Galactica is still a relatively new ship, and I don't think Adama's taken command of it at this point. So, basically, it is the correct version of the ship for my purposes, because I'm getting it to contrast it with the classic version of Galactica. So it works for me from that point of view. It's got a little bit more detail on it, which I'm going to have a look at. And to be perfectly honest, I may not spot the differences, because it's been a while since I watched the series, and I may not pick up on the differences between this one and the one from the main series, but we will soon see. And I've got a little bit of paint. It's got a nice, there's quite a nice chunky booklet on the top there. It already looks slightly different to me. I don't know if it's got more colour than the sort of the version of Galactica that I'm familiar with. Because obviously Galactica in the original series was quite beaten up. And we see her towards the end of her operational life. So I guess she's going to look a little bit different here. That's a nice cutaway. We'll say cutaway, you know, as in the sort of top rear front view. That's nice. And I think some of the differences I'm starting to spot, because you may recall that one of the things that the Galactica was very, very good at was laying down a sort of a flak field to suppress incoming fighters and indeed incoming ordnance. Wow, there she is. She's long. And in order to do that, of course, she needed guns. Lots of guns. Which she had, fortunately, happily. And we see those quite early on in the series, when they're trying to get out of the anchorage zone, and they lay down this sort of suppression of fire to try and give the civilian fleet time to jump out. So I imagine that's going to be it. So we've got a sort of cradle arm approach to the stand there, which feels nice and solid, which is good. Now, no, that's a good weight actually. I wasn't quite sure about the weight, just from lifting the box. I wasn't sure of the weight. Why have they got a refueling spike coming out the front of it? I hope it's only supposed to have those on one side, because so you see, I think I had this issue with the last one as well. Although there is some weight to it, she feels quite plasticky in a lot of places. Now, the differences immediately to my mind are these gun emplacements here. I don't think that they are on the later version of Galactica. I think she had more guns, in fact there are lots of guns here, and I think those are on the original version of it. Well, you know, the original version in terms of my timeline of watching it. But she's got that nice sort of 4-engine arrangement, plus some polystyrene. Thank you for that packaging. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, is that exactly the same as the Galactica that I'm thinking of? I'm trying to convince myself now whether or not you can tell that the flight pods could retract, because there's clearly a void there that they could be pulled back into. But I'm just wondering if those engines are quite the same. I don't remember them being non-symmetrical. If you know better than I do, then please do feel free to shout in the comments, obviously. But at the end of the day, you know, it for my purposes, given that I couldn't find the other one, and given that I wanted to complete my layout, okay, don't hold it by the flight pods only. I think might be my immediate suggestion, because I think there's a little bit of wobble there when I did that, so maybe not to do that. But I mean, they are really impressive ships. You know, I've always loved the Battlestars because they have that sort of sense of sort of gravity and presence, and just sort of, I don't know, sort of sheer stubbornness and pig-headedness that basically they are not going to leave the firefight until they absolutely have to, because they can just soak up the fire that can get through their sort of suppression fire. Great carrier design, you know, there's no two ways about it. I mean, if the Cylons cared about psychology at all, then, you know, you would not want to see one of these bearing down at you at sort of full military thrust, because, you know, you would be running in the opposite direction pretty hard. So yeah, it is really nice, and again, it's one of those. I think the original Battlestar was one of my first Eaglemoss purchases, actually. It was often on offer, and it had the advantage of being available, so I kind of went for that early doors. And I haven't seen this modern equivalent of it very often at all. I have been looking for it because, as I say, this is the last sort of XL size model I was actually looking to get. I mean, they brought the Prometheus out in Star Trek Prometheus model out in XL, which I'm kind of tempted by, but I've got no space for it. As I'm sure will be a plight familiar with those keen on Eaglemoss articles, because they've also got the Rocinante from the Expanse coming out in XL as well. That's annoying. They've got the I'm going to get it wrong, Ceratops? No. Is that how you pronounce it? From Lower Decks. They've got Titan from Lower Decks. And in theory, I could justify those because they're from my era and my universe of Next Generation timeline. It's quite frustrating because I could kind of justify those to myself, but I've just got nowhere to put them. You know, I'm saying that there is somewhere I can think of I can put them, but anyway. So this one is last in my sort of main collection that I wanted to get. It's a little bit of a compromise, but I wanted to get it before it went out of stock, because having lost out on the previous, you know, the standard version of it, I thought, I'm damned if I'm going to miss out again. So I will get this, and you know, that will get the job done. So yeah, so I don't really know now how many more of these videos I'm going to end up doing. I'm quite sure that Eaglemoss will bring out more stuff. Like they've started doing Tron stuff. I didn't know that was a thing. They're going to release. You know, they're releasing the original super classic Tron light cycle, and I'm like, where did that come from? And they're obviously going to do more than that because they've got it down as a brand that they're going to do. So I'm sure we'll get the Tron Legacy light cycle, which I like. And I've got the Lego version of it as well, so I mean that would make perfect sense. So again, I'm going to have to find more display space for that sort of thing if I go for that. Yeah, so decision to be made down the line, I'm sure, and more space to be found somewhere, somehow. But this is the probably the last one for the time being, I think, until I decide how much more paid my bank account can possibly take getting any more of these and find homes for them. So I hope that's been of interest, and as I say, with that I shall pause this particular stream of the playlist on my channel, and if there are any others you think I should be getting, let me know. So I don't have a bottomless pit of cash, but you know, I'm happy to take suggestions as and when I have the money for it. So yeah, I'll leave you there. Cheers for now.